When I was drafted, I didn't really know what to expect and where I'd end up and so forth. So I certainly didn't expect to end up in college. But the Army had a large, almost it was a university, quite frankly. That's what it was. The Ordnance School in Aberdeen, Maryland, was a large, professionally run school for teaching various subjects. Everything from basic English or foreign languages, all kinds of electronic things. It was a very good school, and I was picked out for electronics. I was selected for electronics after I finished, just right after we finished basic. Most people were picked to go to war, really. Once they got their basic, they went over to Korea, and many of them died. So it was kind of nice to be picked for a school, even if it just delayed your death, if you will, by several months. I think my course ran 3 months, but they assumed that I already knew electronics because if you'll recall, I had told people that I had worked in a radio shop on weekends, which I had assisted help sometimes, and obviously told them I knew more than I actually did know. This got me in, but it also made me subject to some pretty serious scrutiny by some of the teachers who didn't take them long to find out I damn well did not know any electronics. But I was a good, quick learner, so I was able to, even before they could throw me out, I was able to learn to pass some of the tests with good grades.
Yeah.
So they figured maybe, and I talked to some of them, but I said, well, I was just so nervous when I started out. It was hard for me. I'm back now. My mind's working again. And they took that for truth, which of course it was a patent lie. So I gave up driving tanks, which I had passed that part of it, to being an electronics technician. And they were needing them for very specific things. And one of the biggest things of all was the new weapons being developed that had been partially developed by the Germans, partially by the British. There were a lot of electronic weapons that really weren't very finished, and they were developing better and weapons, and they wanted people who could do this. And as you recall, I was picked out of the school when I finally graduated to go on to with Captain Caudell. So I salvaged what would have been a dismissal from the school as incompetent, basically, to where I was there as a first sergeant of a graduating class.
That turned out much better than one would have expected. Now, was this bayonet practice during that period of time?
Now, during this period, you always got that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And you'd get called. Yeah, we were still fighting. It wasn't just electrical work. You also had to master the target range. You had to go and learn to shoot. You got a short course on machine guns, how to the whole thing. And one of the things was to taking it back from World War One. Basically, a lot of the things that they did in World War One and needed in World War One, they really didn't need anymore, but they still did them. And one of them is across a battlefield during a ferocious combat. That was just so that you would learn to not lose your mind, not go stark raving crazy. It was
in the midst of war. Yeah.
In the midst of a big battle, and basically that was World War One. But anyway, I did this and didn't have too much trouble with it, except that I received a piece of lead from something, and when I got out, I felt on my side something. It just hurt, and I had no choice but you have it checked out in the medical section. They said, it looks like you got a piece of metal in there. And said, we're not gonna remove it though, because it's a small piece, we don't think it'll give any trouble. That they did, and it's still in there. And really, it hasn't been that serious. I had a few little pain from it at the beginning, but it gradually sort of learned to be part of the system. Some other things did affect, obviously, there were problems of doing any of these things. I was exposed to a lot of war gases and things. Partially as a tent, you had to do it. You had to go through this building with poison gases being pumped into it. And you were taught, of course, in advance how to do this. And it was good experience. You were also taught bayonet practice. Now, I don't know when the hell we expected us to use bayonets in combat, but we could do it. I mean, we were trained for it anyway. And how to come up behind somebody and stab them, and how to swing around and lunge forward on your one foot. All of this was I guess I'm afraid we didn't take it very seriously. And we did a lot of night marching. Remember, we were going to class during the day.
Yeah.
So at night we would get into
long days.
It was long days, and we'd have night marches sometimes. And of course, in basic, we'd done marching and distance marching. A lot of the stuff was already done, but use of the bayonet practice was one that had not been done in basic, and we had to do that. And basically, it was how to lunge on one foot, where to put the bayonet, point of the bayonet when you entered the man's body.
Gee whiz.
All these things, and we had, stuffed dummy figures to do this. So that was, that combined with that obstacle course that we had to cross at night with the damn machine guns going over overhead, made it kind of interesting. And plus, when you get a little piece of lead inside your gut,
yeah, it gets your attention.
It gets your attention.
Yeah, I bet it does.
And that was the last of combat we ever saw.
Okay.